How did Ricky Tiedemann and Jackson Jobe look in their first starts in the Arizona Fall League? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Saturday, October 7th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Chris, the Welsh, who is out there on the scene, out there in Arizona, watching all these AFL games early on. And one of the biggest names out there is Ricky Tiedemann, top pitching prospect with the Toronto Blue Jays. And he was picking up the whiffs here in his first start. 5 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. We did not have access to any StatCast in this game. But Welsh, your thoughts? First time seeing Ricky Tiedemann.
Well, I can tell you that they have a gun there, and I was able to monitor the velo, which I will say, little bit alarming. That was the only thing that stood out, even though from this performance, and we've got some video up here. This was a Nathan Mozzarella at bat where I think he got the strikeout, but he touched 97, and he usually sits in the mid 90s. Tiedemann was sitting 92 in this game, like most of the time. It was mostly 91, 92, which seemed odd. A couple rarities of a at bat that, he could hit 93, 94, but it was a lot of 92s. This at bat specifically was a very aggressive approach that Tiedemann had where he just pumped 3 straight fastballs, and Nathan Mozzarella with the Padres just was not able to catch up to it. But the velos weren't quite there. He was working high in the zone. He had a nasty slider that he was using. Changeup looked okay. There were some command issues, but I was a little bit worried, to be honest. I was a little bit worried about the velo dip, yet he still had 7 strikeouts against a very, very good team. He ended up going 5 innings. I think he still tried to build the innings. I'm not too worried about it in this first start here, but I don't really recall a guy having velo dips from 89 to 97 and not sitting consistently pitch to pitch. But he looked a little bit better than the guy I saw the night before, which everybody was touting in Jackson Jobe.
All right, well, let's talk about Jackson Jobe here, who is the top pitching prospect in the Tigers organization. He made his AFL debut on Monday. He threw 4 shutout innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. We did have StatCast data in that game, 9 swinging strikes on 55 pitches. He had a 4-pitch mix using a 4-seam fastball, slider, cutter, and changeup. Between 11 and 44% on all those pitches. He averaged 96 miles per hour on the fastball. Welsh, what did you see here from Jackson Jobe?
Yeah, I actually thought this in person was sitting right there. So I was like right in the camera view. Someone was like tweeting me awful pictures of me right there. And I was like, oh God, sit up. Don't sit up straight. Don't let all the fat go. And I was right there watching him. And, the game itself presented him very nice. I wasn't quite there with it. He had a 45, or I think, it was under 50% zone percentage on his fastball. 12 swings on the fastball only induced 3 swinging strikes, which that was one that we were just watching on Kevin Parada with the Mets. He lacked command in this, and his fastball was sitting really high, kind of like Ricky Tiedemann. I'm not trying to kill him on any of it. He looked a little bit more wonky than Tiedemann was, really struggling to find the zone. Got a little bit better as time went on. He did hit 3,000 spin on that slider, which that's what he does. He's a big spin guy. But I thought the fastball seemed a little bit flat. It sat above the zone all night without getting a bunch of strikes. But you have a bunch of free swingers here. So I think both of the guys struggled with some of the same command issues. I like Tiedemann a little bit more, but you don't want to take too much off of one start. But I am going to monitor under 50% zone percentage on the fastball. He got those swings on the secondaries, but if the fastball is not in the zone in a better environment, that's not going to work out. We've seen that story before. Brandon Pfaadt was a perfect example of a guy that could not get the fastball in the zone that had a really great sweeper. So, better pitching than we've seen in the AFL before. Ricky Tiedemann's slight advantage in my eyes over Jackson Jobe.
All right, let's wrap up with a hitter here. And Guardians outfield prospect Chase DeLauter had a huge first game on Monday. He went 2 for 4 with a home run, 5 RBI. He was the first-round pick back in 2022, 16th overall. He's 21 years old. We were talking beforehand, and you said you've been pretty impressed by what you've seen so far from Chase DeLauter. What have you seen, and is there any chance we can get him next year on the Cleveland Guardians?
Well, he missed a lot of time with an injury. He's actually started the year, a minor league season, on crutches. He was out here in Arizona playing in complex and trying to recover. He's a big 6'4", listed him around 230 pounds. He is every bit of it. And he's a lefty going up against Tiedemann here. I thought before this started up, he could be an MVP candidate. He was hitting around 350 in the minors, really finding rhythm. And here in the AFL, that has continued. This swing, he has this very interesting, it's almost like Brennan Davis, non-extension type of at bat. And if it gets back to the hit, you can kind of watch, if anyone's watching here, he doesn't fully extend his arms out. Bam, right there, and it stops, yet he crushed a homer, like 400 something the night before. This was a double. He absolutely smacked into right field, and he has got multiple hits through the first couple games here. He seems absolutely locked in. Stolen base yesterday, tried to steal a base tonight, but the pitch was called a ball 4. So he's been very aggressive on the base paths. He has got pure raw power that's not even through a full extension. I think he might be the best guy here. And I think he might be one of the biggest risers when we come out of this entire Arizona Fall League. It's very, very early, but he is hands down the most impressive I've seen.
All right. We'll keep you updated throughout the entire Arizona Fall League here, obviously with our guy Welsh out there in Arizona. And once we find out what he knows, we'll obviously let you know. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.